Welcome to the official Lakes International Comic Art Festival podcast. My name's Ian.
And my name's Nikki, bringing you the best in comics and graphic novels and updates from the festival.
Hello, my name's Ian.
And I'm Nikki.
Welcome to the Lakes International Comic Art Festival podcast number 27.
You mixed that up then. Usually you do your international festival podcasty bit first and then we introduce ourselves.
You see?
That I thought, are you going to make it to the end?
What a refreshing change.
Yeah.
I give you all the best stuff.
Yeah, mixing it up.
Busy episode this episode because we didn't have one like last episode.
No.
So we've got loads to talk about.
We have.
Loads of festival stuff at the end of the show. We have got Jerome.
Go on, because he taught you how to say his surname.
Jerome Saincantin from Cinebook.
Pretty certain it wasn't that.
Interview with him, and also Joel Meadows from the Portsmouth Comic Con as well.
Mm-hmm.
Two chats this show.
Yeah. Jerome's voice. Wow.
What did you call him on Twitter?
Swoony.
Swoony.
Yeah. That voice is, I mean, ladies out there, prepare yourselves to get a nice glass of red wine, some chocolate, and just enjoy.
Do you want me to make it even deeper?
No,
is that good
he's
enough?
Perfect as he is.
Okay, yes, I feel useless.
Northern.
Worthless. Bit of news though about the podcast.
Go on.
We're on the Bay Trust Radio weekly.
Hello.
Now. We are on a radio station.
Yes.
Admittedly, it's hospital radio around Lancaster.
We are making
and
sick
Cumbria,
people better.
but we are weekly.
We are.
So you'll hear if you're ill, you will hear our smooth voices.
Yeah, don't worry, you haven't gone mad.
No.
You're not just hearing us when you're in hospital. We are actually on there.
So, yeah, it's quite a cool little partnership there.
Yes.
You know, we give them stuff, they give us...
They
we're volunteering
give
our
us time.
services.
Yes.
Because the whole radio is a volunteer-based
It
radio
is,
station.
yeah.
Which, after being to the volunteers meeting for the festival recently, it's just amazing how many people give up the time for these causes.
Yeah, it's
So for the
good.
hospital. And it's because you imagine a station, you've got the presenters, but you've also got all the people behind the works as well. So it's amazing.
Yeah.
The amount of volunteers out there.
It's community, and I love that feeling.
Yeah.
It makes me feel warm and
Community.
fuzzy.
But there was loads of people at the festival volunteers meeting as well. Absolutely loads.
There was.
Giving up the time again.
Yep.
For a free pint.
For free pints.
That's what you get.
It is.
But no, it was really good to see. And it's like I say, I'm going to keep saying it's amazing. Mm-hmm. And yeah.
We love everyone.
Because this doesn't feel like we're volunteering to do this in some weird way.
But we are.
We're doing it. It's so fun to do. It doesn't feel like...
No, because we'd do it anyway, but it's lovely to be part of it.
Yes,
and I love that feeling.
That group huggy feeling.
Yeah, group huggy.
Group huggy.
Clappy.
That makes
feeling.
it sound very weird,
It
actually.
does. It does make us
Let's
sound like a
move
load of
on.
hippies now.
Let's get the maypole out.
Okay. Do you know what the maypole... I'm stopping there.
Okay. We went to see I Kill Giants.
We did.
Which we'll talk about briefly because we've got a much bigger movie to talk about shortly. Which was surprisingly emotional. And for a film that was supposedly about killing giants, there's a lot more to it.
Yes.
So it follows the story of a little girl, if you've not read the comic, who...
Barbara.
I'm not good with names in films.
Know.
I'm rubbish. Who sees giants that nobody else is open to.
Yeah.
Because these giants hide themselves in storms and other natural disasters.
Events,
yeah. And it's her role, her purpose in life to stop these giants from killing the towns and the people around where she lives.
Yep. So she's not afraid
No.
to do that.
And this is pulling her away from her family and stopping her having friends because she's focusing all her energies on this mission.
Yes.
And it's a story of her coming to terms with allowing people into her life and dealing with the battles that are within her life as well.
Yeah.
I think that's the best way to put it.
I think that's probably a good way to put it without doing any spoilers.
Yes.
But it's an emotional roller coaster.
It's not. I wouldn't say it's emotional. It's not until the end. It's the last 10 minutes that just destroy you.
It did destroy us. The whole cinema was
Yeah.
crying. Yes.
And even if you got the twist that was upcoming,
I didn't.
I didn't. I kind of did in some ways, actually.
I didn't until the photograph.
There's a scene where a friend drops a glass
Yes.
After looking in a room.
Yeah.
That I worked something out then that there was something going on.
Oh, I thought it was something else.
Okay.
Look at us just tiptoeing round.
So the ones who've seen it, you'll understand what we're talking about there. So, but it's well worth going to see. It's only got a limited release, but then it's going on digital quite quickly as well. So
it's definitely one to watch, but take tissues.
Yes,
and don't worry, we all cried.
And we've got the book to read, which we've not read yet. Looking forward to having a read through that. Supposedly, as good as the movie is, the book is even better.
Yes, so, but the movie did the bit credit.
Yes, yeah. So go and see. We've read. Because of Cinebooks in particular, but we are enjoying a lot of Cinebook books at the minute. It's really hard to say. Cinebook books. Orbital.
Yes.
Can you give us a bit of blurb on Orbital?
I can.
Oh, look at this.
Look at this.
In your best French accent.
Really?
No.
I think that'd be offensive. In the 23rd century, the humans and the Sanjars are allowed to join an intergalactic multi-species organisation set up 8,000 years before. The humans are seen as belligerent, underdeveloped race by the other members of the organisation and are kept out of it until now. The Sanjars have stayed out of interplanetary politics until a war between themselves and the humans broke out. Now a human and a Sanjar are paired up and trained as special agents to keep the intergalactic peace. This is a controversial and historic alliance, and a lot of people are watching them. Dun, dun, dun.
So there's a human and there's a Sanjar. Sanjar's I say she.
I think she's not she.
Well, no. The actual race, if you mean it can be either.
Okay.
They don't actually say whether male or female.
This is why I have to admit I'm only halfway through.
and she's got this like a bubble head, black bubble head. It's very weird. But the story follows a coupling of two races who had been at war. Their issues with one another as they work together to uncover a mystery of what's going on this planet, and they're trying to stop another fight between humans and another race over this planet, and which has got a mine which is worth so much. And within that as well, there's a load of creatures that like to attack. And the storytelling is quite different, it feels, to certainly American comics.
Oh yeah. Well, this is a fully realised world.
It feels like realised world. It starts off very detailed in creating the world.
Yeah, it's more mature.
Yeah,
would you say? Because I think
there's plenty of mature comics out there, but it's more
a mature adventure comic. Though.
Yeah, and it's interesting talking to Cinebooks about what's so different over there. And I think because the books sell so many, the writers are allowed the time to really develop and focus on the world and get paid a wage. Yeah, that's relevant. Yeah, and gives them the time, which is very different to America and over here as well, as we've heard. People really struggle. To afford to be able to create comics unless they're working elsewhere. And the whole book pricing as well, I think it's about £7-8. Yeah, but it's a good quality book, and you can the stories just keep coming out as well. It's very enjoyable. It's very detailed. It's very beautiful. Yeah, book. I like that. Actually, I should say who are the artists and writers, actually. Have I got Pele and Runeberg. No, it's well worth going and reading this series, as well as looking out for all the other series. Like we're talking about Valerian, which we watched recently. Oh, yes, that's a really good series. The comics are so much better. Well, yeah, that's always the case, isn't it? But, I mean, it did wonders for Cinebooks and all the rest of it, and that's always to the good. So go and check out Cinebooks. Again, as we say later on in the episode, it's well worth checking out the site and the amount of content that's on there that you generally don't, unless Cinebook are showing it off, you don't see at festivals and stuff. It's well worth it. Yeah. Well worth it. Right. So, Avengers, the Infinity War is out. It's been out. It's been out. We've been to see it. We went to see it yesterday. As we're speaking now, not as when you listen. Oh, yeah. Yeah. We went, in the past, we saw it. We went to the Brewery Arts Centre. I used the time stone and we manipulated time. You did Doctor Strange movement. I did that. The opening up of my time thing. So, this is going to be a spoiler-free review. So we're going to tell you nothing. Which is really hard to do. I'll be honest. It is really hard to do. So, the basic storyline. Thanos is coming. Essentially, Thanos, a great warlord, titan-y type person. With the world's best scrotum chin. Yes, dear. His whole plan is to cleanse the universe
of half the population
to allow it to continue, essentially.
But it's all about balance, isn't it?
Yes.
He thinks that races are becoming too big for the planet they inhabit.
The overpopulation, which is linking to Earth at the moment as such.
And then he thinks just divide it straight down the middle, kill off half.
And with the Infinity Stones, this is what he can. So the movie is all about his trials to try and find the Infinity Stones, which we've seen dotted throughout the past 10 years in all the Marvel movies.
Yes. Yeah, it's trying to remember which is...
Yeah, bar a couple of them, but yeah.
Yeah.
So this is a 10-year epic creation, essentially.
To this final battle.
To this point here where we see almost all of the Avengers and Marvel.
Yes, yeah.
Not all of them, majority, all within this film. And the way they've done it, the way they laid the film out, is rather than just dumping everyone together, they've split them into groups and give them individual storylines.
Well,
which
it's not really a storyline. It's just
it all links
the
together.
feelers
it's
to
their
get
adventures,
to the main.
isn't it? They've all got individual adventures and individual parts, so that rather than having everybody grouped together and
they kind of matched up certain people to do their little. I suppose so.
Which I felt worked better than I enjoyed that.
I thought it was quite jumpy between each bit. And I did think it jumped, and I found it jarred. It got smoother later on as everyone came together, but I thought the first act, there you go, that's what they say, isn't it? The first act was quite jarring between the bits.
Okay.
And I like Guardians the best, so I was quite pleased when they came up. Yeah,
well, they're in quite a lot, to be fair.
Yeah.
I think all the characters were given their fair share.
They tried to, didn't
all
they?
the main characters that were involved with this film were given the main share of screen time.
Yeah.
But Thanos, I feel, stole it. And his cronies.
See, I thought he could have been rendered better.
Okay.
I was still a bit disappointed with his CG. Fine. But anyway, that's just me.
But the story, I mean, it's 2 hours 40 minutes.
Yeah.
But it doesn't feel like it's 2 hours and 40.
No.
It trots along absolutely fine.
That's the thing that I was really worried about, was that I was going to get a Braveheart numb.
Yeah.
But I didn't. I didn't get a Braveheart.
But there's plenty of action throughout, but it's not continuous action. I just feel it bounces along, and there's a lot of laughs in it as well. Not like Thor, but there is a lot of laughs in it.
There has to be. And that's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
People do die in this film, which we knew was going to happen.
Yeah.
We'll leave it at that. But there is death. But you've got to have that emotional fear of losing characters.
I felt quite deflated at the end of this film. I think because of how it's left, which is fine. No, I felt what? Oh, and that's how I came out.
but
that's fine because
without saying any more, that's right.
But they say, it left it on a cliffhanger. Well, it didn't. I don't think it did leave it on a cliffhanger.
Well,
because it's kind of obvious what's got to happen in the next one.
That's to discuss down the line.
Yeah, when we can talk spoilers. Yeah. But I was left, I was left more, So I don't think the ending was
okay.
Right. It could have left it. It could have left it 5 minutes before.
No.
I think it could.
No.
All the thunderstormy bit.
No.
There is where she left it.
No.
Because I like...
She's wrong.
I'm not wrong.
She's wrong. Anyway.
I'd prefer the not knowing.
She's wrong.
Okay.
And when you see it, you'll understand what I mean. She's completely wrong.
Well, that's my opinion trashed, wasn't it?
To enjoy this film, though, you've got to have some emotional care about the characters. You have to have seen some of the films. You
need to know the storyline.
You need to know the basic story.
Yeah.
You don't need to watch every single film made the past 10 years.
No, you just need to watch the first one of each.
Well, no, you need to... Civil War needs to be watched. You need to watch Winter Soldier to understand the rivalry and the issues.
Oh, yes, as to why,
You need to... Guardians is obviously vital because you need to understand their roles.
Actually, Ragnarok as well.
Ragnarok.
To split.
Well, that Ragnarok sort of starts,
Yeah.
So there's only about 5 or 6 films you really need to watch to understand.
And start it all off with Iron Man, obviously. Yeah.
But I think it was a success.
Oh, yeah, it's
considering the challenges faced in creating a film. And let's be honest, this hasn't never been done before. A film with so many lead characters They've tried with Batman, with Justice League, and that was only 5 of them. You know, whereas Avengers has always been successful generally.
I think they've got the thing that works. They've got the formula.
Yeah, and it doesn't feel like the actors are fighting to be top dogs either. I might be wrong. You don't know what's behind the doors, but
well, it's clever editing then.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't know what's behind everything.
No.
But
I think, if you're a fan of this universe in any way, shape, or form,
you
will enjoy this film.
It's a good film. Like I said, I was very. It's either gonna really drag itself, or it's gonna be okay, and it was better than okay. So I was quite pleased because I'm very hard to please.
Favorite character, or in that movie?
In the movie?
Yeah.
Oh.
See, mine is surprisingly, as I said as we walked out of cinema, Thor again. I'm not a fan of Thor, but this film and Ragnarok, he pulled it out of the bag. Brilliant what they did, and again, I can't explain. There's a scene sort of towards the end. Yeah.
Well, he has quite a major pull-up.
He does
move in there. I don't know.
Oh,
because they all were quite like you say, they were quite on a level, weren't they? So no one stood out.
Silence.
Gonna have to be Star-Lord because I quite like that story arc.
Okay, he's entertaining as well.
Yeah,
definitely entertaining.
Yeah, so I like because he's always been happy-go-lucky. So I kind of like the story arc.
Okay, so go and see it. It's simple as that.
Definitely
give Disney your money because it's worth it.
Yeah, definitely, but definitely get snacks.
Yes, snacks and a drink are required. So, Nikki.
Oh God, yes.
Let's talk about your work.
Yes.
Where are we at in this comic of yours?
Which one?
Well, there's only one now, isn't there?
Yeah.
So, the comic that we as a podcast were creating is essentially on the back burner. It may be done, may not be.
It's there.
But as we discussed last time, the work you're doing at the minute has just overtaken everything. So
it has.
What have we decided we're going to call
the book?
The book.
Anxiety Me.
Okay. Have you had any assistance so far?
I have.
Oh, what's happened?
I met up with Julie and Mark, who actually gave me quite good advice on the whole. Well, actually, what did they do, Ian? What did they do? They tore you to pieces. They love my work.
And any editing
or font that you did.
Yeah.
The only thing I had to do was redo the front cover.
Well, not redo it. They just felt the image wasn't...
It needed more dark to draw you in.
Yeah.
So that's what I've done now. So I've done a more darker image.
So it's being put together slowly.
Yeah. Well, we had to find a better scanner.
We're
as well.
learning so much, I think, as we're going on. I'm learning so much on the design and editing side. You're learning so much on
format, how it's all going to look.
Yeah.
Which I mean, I was silly to start doing this in a book we can't take the pages out.
Yes.
So that's been fun. And I'm obviously doing it in watercolours because that's what I've always painted in since the year dot. So, and it's quite a delicate watercolour that I've done, isn't it? There's a lot of washes and just gentle colours. So it's quite hard to scan it and get all the colours in. But I've kept the flow. It's all going along lovely. I'm at a bit now where I'm a bit unsure as the next 4 pages. So I'm going to have to sit and I'm not avoiding it, but you know when you back off and go.
This is a lesson of pre-planning, which has not because it wasn't designed to be a book, was it?
No, I can't do that. If you pre-plan it, you kill the spirit of it. I can't do that. I don't want to do that. It has to flow from. Don't look at me like that. It has to flow from me to the paintbrush. No, I have an idea of the story.
Pre-planning and story.
No, stop.
Well, you're going to have to because we've already considering the next one down the line, and that is going to be. Whereas this is more, I don't know, you could say picture book, but it's not. It's hard to explain what this is.
I like to think of it as an animation on pages.
The next one is going to be more of a standard comic format.
Yes, yeah.
So that is going to have to be planned to fit so many, not panels, because it'd probably be. We'll let it flow again.
Yes.
Without the requirements of a box.
I don't like to be confined.
But it's still going to have to fit the story on a page.
I know.
Or how many pages. It's still going to have to be planned a little bit.
I don't even put my books on a bookshelf in order, okay? Because I rebel against order like that because I think it's awful.
Well, we're going to continue to get advice. Pete Taylor has obviously been helping us a lot as well.
Yeah, and Chris.
And Chris has been helping with resolution, which I've got no idea about.
Yes.
Because we're doing a banner, because hopefully we're going to do some festivals down the line and Comic Cons and what have you.
Yes.
Which will be later this year, early next year probably.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
But we're going off out into the Lake District this afternoon, aren't we?
Take some pictures.
Take some pickies.
So, it's challenging, but very interesting. It's really got me
I'd
excited.
never have done this if it wasn't for you.
Oh, thank you.
Yes, pushing me. Because I'm a lazy artist. So I do...
I thought you were going to say something else then.
I'm a lazy artist. So I do need a kick up the bum. Because I expect a lot of people, you don't actually think your work's good enough a lot of the time. And you need someone else to look at it. Which I'm glad as well you sent it off to people without me knowing.
Yeah.
Because I would have cried.
Good feedback as well.
Yeah, okay. Well, you're only going to tell me the good ones, aren't you?
There's been no bad ones.
Okay.
So there.
All right then. But yes, I'm thoroughly enjoying it. From a person who thought she'd never do a comic book because I wasn't really interested because of all the straight lines. I'm enjoying it.
So check out Nikki's website, nikkidraws.pictures. She will update stuff at some point.
Yeah.
And do blogs on. I think you should do
on
blogs.
Facebook as well.
I think you should do blogs on your creation and how it's going.
That's true. I should do that.
Yes, you should.
Yes. You must show me where to log in.
That will be upcoming. I promise you.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'll let you listen to Mike and Pete chat away and some interviews, and we'll come back and do a bit of festival news.
Mike's Mutterings.
Hello and welcome again to Mike's Mutterings. The Geek calendar year is full of important dates, like our very own comic festival, gaming conventions, film release dates and the like. But there's also a multitude of fan holidays that are dedicated to franchises, films, people, brands. And I'd like to use this episode to show just some of those dates that are around the time of me recording this. So first up is April the 24th, which was Firefly Day. It's a simple fan day where you remember how to basically celebrate the series and how great it was, and tweet messages using the hashtag Firefly Day so you can talk to other fans. What a lot of people do is basically do a entire season sitting, ending with the Serenity film. And this year, I actually stuck on Serenity and we watched a documentary that I'd recorded off Sci-Fi a few weeks back, all about Browncoat fans. It's very much a fan day. There is also an official holiday, though, that takes place within the Firefly verse, and that's known as Unification Day, which marks the end of the unification war between the Union and the Independents. It was featured in the Train Job episode, and it's been confirmed by lead actor Nathan Fillion as being September the 20th, so yet another date for a diary and another excuse to watch Firefly. The next date is April the 26th, known throughout the geekdom as Alien Day, and actually the day I'm recording this. I'll grant you that this is a pretty new entry into my diary, and it really only started back in 2015 by fans. It was very quickly taken over by 20th Century Fox, and they now use it as an announcement platform for anything to do with the Aliens franchise. Why the 26th of April? Well, this is down to the American date format, and the fact that the colony featured in the movie Aliens was LV-426. What you'll find is a lot of new events and Aliens merchandise is unveiled on this day. Previous years you've seen releases of new cuts or remastered versions of the films, new collector's toys a lot of the time, live interviews and of course new comics. Dark Horse, the publishers of the licensed Alien comic series, really make the most of the day. They jumped on board early, and they now use it to show teasers and make surprise announcements. So what's happened this year? Well, it's not the end of the day yet, but so far there's a new audio drama that's been released called Alien Sea of Sorrows. Collectors seem to be very excited about some limited edition Xenomorph mini-masks, which I've no idea what they are yet. Over in Orange County, stateside, there was a new virtual reality attraction that was opened called Alien Descent. I quickly looked up some trailers for this, and it really does look awesome. You and your friends play colonial marines investigating a distress call that comes from a Wayland Yutani outpost. You're tasked with eliminating any xenomorph threat and rescuing survivors. It looks really, really well done, and the ticket price seemed quite low to me, something like $22. So I was quite surprised at that, given the tech and the time involved. Another big announcement is that Alien Off-World Colony Simulator is now live. This is a game app, but unusually it runs through Amazon's Alexa assistant. Apparently all you need to say is, "Alexa, open Alien Simulator," and it will start up a turn-based survival simulator game for you. I'm really hoping that this has just happened for any listeners within earshot of their Echo right now. Once again, Dark Horse Comics has some cool announcements too. Last year they released the first issue of Alien Dead Orbit, which, incidentally, I got the trade paperback delivered yesterday. I'll be reviewing that as part of a bigger Alien comic episode I'll do in the future. But today is the launch of issue 1 of their new series, Aliens Dust to Dust. They were also doing a sale, I believe, on all their Aliens backlog, so that might be worth checking out if it lasts for a week or so. Tonight I will be celebrating Alien Day by sticking on the director's extended cut of Aliens, because the only thing better than watching a screen classic is watching a screen classic for a convoluted reason. The next date in our diaries will be Star Wars Day, May the 4th. It's a terrible pun, but it really worked in cementing that day in everyone's minds. It truly is an observed holiday for Star Wars fans, and it was completely instigated by the fans, not George Lucas or Lucasfilms, or even Disney. The use of that day is said to have originated from a UK newspaper ad, which was to celebrate the day Margaret Thatcher took office in 1979. So, high to Star Wars fever at that point, it read, "May the 4th be with you, Maggie, congratulations." I've heard this several times and I really still think it's an urban myth. I really don't know. But Star Wars Day has been a big thing for me and my friends since the late 80s. And it really is something I observe every year with friends and family, or on my lonesome if need be. There will be a ton of Star Wars related film news on the day, new comics, games, events, etc. Especially on the cosplay front, lots of events. Star Wars cosplay is massive now, and it's probably the biggest worldwide organised movement, with the 501st Legion being the world-spanning leader of that movement. The UK garrison alone of the 501st Legion breaks down into squads for Scotland, Wales and England even. You normally see them out in force, sorry for the pun, at comic conventions, gaming conventions and the like, and May the 4th will be no exception. I'm sure they've got lots of events organised. Without doubt, I will watch one or more films on the day. Every 5 or so years we do get together and we do an original trilogy showing, but this year I have The Last Jedi in 3D that I've got and kept and put to one side, but I've also prepared a few other things for the day. For years now I've been trying to get hold of a copy of the old Rogue Squadron comics series. They have been compiled into 3 huge graphic novel volumes, but I've never been able to get hold of them, and they've never been reprinted. When they do come up in auctions, or even on Amazon second hand, they're never in very good condition, and the price is extortionate. Well, I scored big last month, and I got all 3 volumes in mint condition from a single seller. Cost me a month's comic budget, probably, but worth it. I remember them as great stories, and a favourite artist of mine, Gary Erskine, actually features a lot in Volume 2 of that series, and I'll be taking that, therefore, to the festival this year to get it signed by Gary himself, who is a special guest. So, 3 volumes of Star Wars should round the day off quite nicely, but not quite. There's been a growing trend this last few years for proper Star Wars themed party food. And along with the obligatory film watching is a social event that we kind of join in with on the food side. There are so many cake recipes and inspirations out there. In fact, my brother-in-law last year for his birthday had a huge Death Star cake, which was superb. But I have an ace up my sleeve this year, and I found a very cool recipe for blue milk. There's a few of them out there, but if you check out Feast of Fiction YouTube video, just search blue milk. This looked the best to me, and it also includes a great recipe for pork cookies as well. Also check out Ray's Jacu bread as well. So yeah, these are the sorts of things that my household and my friends do to celebrate completely made up geek calendar dates. But there is still one final date for your calendars before next episode. May the 5th is Free Comic Book Day. I did speak all about Free Comic Book Day last year, and I really do encourage you to go to freecomicbookday.com. This is where you'll find what this year's offerings are, and also find a shop. It's an American site, but the shop finder does cover the rest of the world too, so you'll be able to locate a shop that is actually participating quite easily. As always, remember that the comic retailer foots the bill for all the free comics, and this can be a costly burden for small shops. So they really should be applauded for joining in, because it's such a fantastic way to introduce comics to people of all ages. I know that there is one that I really want to get my hands on, so I'll always make a purchase though whenever I go in. Though to be fair, I can't remember walking into a friendly local comic book store and not purchasing something, but I think it's good manners, especially if there's free comics on offer. Some shops run it differently to others though, and it's worth checking with the owner. Sometimes it's a great way to start a conversation and find out about other stuff that you want to get hold of. You'll see if you go on the site that there's lots of treats in store this year for fans of the Avengers, Doctor Who, 2000 AD, Transformers, there's a Spider-Man, there's a Tick one as well, but I always suggest going for a new title to sample, and that basically is what it's all about. It's finding something new. So, well, there you go. 4 great Geek Diary dates all within this fortnight. My calendar is stuffed with them, and it's a great way to find an excuse to do something you love and make people think less of you at the same time. So till next time.
Thank you very much for coming on. Before we start, can I just get the pronunciation properly of your surname? Saincantin?
Saincantin.
Come on in.
Here we go.
But no, your pronunciation is fine. Don't worry about it.
No, let's make him try.
No. Go on, say it again. I'm going to get this right.
Saincantin.
Saincantin. Or am I just throwing a bloody accent on it?
It's all right.
Really bad accent on that.
I'm going to have to keep that in now. That's just brilliant. We'll do the simple way. We have Jerome with us.
That's usually the best way to go about it. Yeah.
That's us Englishmen are just blooming useless, aren't we? Let's be honest when it comes to language.
You are. Yes.
I think the English as a whole.
No, we are.
We are, yeah. Do you find that in your line of work, that English are just useless when it comes to language? And you can be honest.
Okay, then yes. No, it's not quite that bad. You have the advantage of having your language as the lingua franca, as it is for the whole world, so you don't have to learn other languages. So you are a bit weaker that way.
Yeah, just lazy.
We don't have the excuse, and we're terrible at languages as well. So,
I mean, I've been to France a couple of times, and to be fair, most speak English in some form, whereas over here it's no one speaks anything.
No, even English badly.
That's sometimes true. Yes.
You can slate it; it's fine. So you work with Cinebook. Tell us a little bit about Cinebook, first of all, if you would.
Okay, then Cinebook is it's technically a British company, although it was created by a Frenchman who lives in England. It's a company dedicated to publishing in English classic, mostly classic, but also a few new bande dessinée, a French and Belgian comic series. Many of them are very, very well known and very big sellers on the continent, but they're completely unknown in the English-speaking world, whether it is the UK or the US. Yeah. And that's been, I think the company is 13 years old by now. And it's one of those companies that everybody looked at and said, this is never going to work. The English speakers don't want to read anything French, basically. And we've proven them wrong. And I'm quite happy about that.
Yeah, no, I mean, I can understand the attitude, because I think we're quite the same with movies as well in some ways. A lot of people who won't watch anything other than English-speaking movies. Yes. And it seems that it probably comes down to our laziness in some ways, you think?
We're just not brought up with it.
No, we're not brought up, I suppose.
It's breaking through and getting it into that kind of thing.
Yeah, I think that's more the problem. As far as I know, the British public has taken to whatever we offer, or us or anybody else, and it's fine. You don't seem to have a problem with it. It's just that you're not familiar with the material. The Americans, they're another problem, but yeah. I'm going to make a lot of friends tonight, I think.
We'll stop that bit there. Yeah, so what is there a particular reason you feel the comics are so well respected over in France and Belgium and Europe as a whole, I suppose?
Any field of comics, you say?
Why are they so well respected?
I don't know, honestly. I have no idea exactly what made it into a respected art form, instead of the way they're seen in America and also in the UK. I don't know exactly what happened, but it seems that we have accepted them as something that is an art form unto itself. It's a type of literature, basically. But what exactly allowed that, I really can't tell you.
So are they used in schools then for education, or just for reading purposes in schools as well as your standard novels, or?
Well, when I say accepted.
Okay. Okay.
No. They are used. They are available in all libraries, just like any other type of books, and they will be present in schools as well, especially in younger ages schools. But you rarely see them considered by the academic world as acceptable literature for the purpose of teaching. Teaching to read on it is fine, but teaching literature with it, we're not there yet.
So that's what I honestly thought that would have been the difference.
Yes,
I really did.
Yeah.
But obviously not. So that makes it really more confusing as to why they're doing so well there, yet in the UK they're not seen in any way, shape, or form the same way.
I don't know. Something must have clicked early on, and they were accepted. They were present everywhere, and we're more used to them. So little by little, they became something completely acceptable. There was a time when reading comics was something for kids and kids only. Mm-hmm. It's just over time, adults have been recognized as potential readers that don't need to be ostracized because of it.
I was looking on your website, and some of the statistics are amazing. So 1 in every 8 books in France is a comic.
Pretty much, yeah.
That's crazy. And 300 million books sold over, it was about 14 characters.
Yes, yeah.
I mean, those figures are astounding.
Yes.
Do you know what sort of numbers the UK is like in comparison? Not with Cinebooks, as a comic industry as a whole.
No, I don't have the exact numbers. I've read a few articles over the years about that, but I know it's a ridiculous small number in comparison.
Yeah. I don't think it's anywhere near.
No.
But and again, you look at the books that Cinebooks comes out with, and just the style of them just shows up our standard comics, and the price that I feel they come out with as well. Mm. How are they priced in France in comparison to the UK? Are they fairly cheap, or are they?
Of our comics or of comics in general?
Comics in general.
Honestly, they're not quite as cheap as I would like them to be.
Yeah.
I remember the time when they were dirt cheap, and now I'm spending more and more money every time I buy one comic. It's ouch.
Yeah.
But that's growing old, I suppose. No, they're not cheap. They're definitely not cheap.
Okay, so that's cool. Right. So basically, we've got no valid reason as to why France does better at comics than us, other than they write good stuff.
Yeah.
That's one of those things, It works. It worked here. It worked in Belgium.
Yeah.
I don't know why it didn't work for you.
No. It's sad, really.
We'll catch up eventually.
We will eventually. So
we're working towards it.
Yes.
So, what are some of the big titles that Cinebook's got under its belt?
The biggest one is Lucky Luke. The cowboy, the humorous cowboy series. This is we're on 69. I'm translating number 69 right now. There are about 80 available in French, maybe a few more. It's been going on for 70 years, so that's the really big name, the one that for some reason wasn't translated earlier, like Tintin or Asterix was, but it's just as big, if not bigger. That's our main seller. That's our engine for the train, if you want.
Yeah.
We have Blake and Mortimer, which is rather well liked in England, as far as I know. We have 13 and Largo Winch and basically anything by Jean Van Hamme. The man's a machine, really. I don't know how he manages to write everything that he writes. It's just insane. Yeah. And every series he creates is a hit.
I think 13, I recognise it came out as a video game.
Yes.
About 10, 15 years ago, I can't think how long ago, but yeah, it was cel-shaded and looks just like a comic book. It was really good, actually. Yeah.
I never did finish that game, actually. I don't know why exactly. Never got a chance to finish it.
It was good. It was quite challenging, I think, if I remember rightly, if it's the one I'm thinking.
Yeah. It might have been a reason then.
Yeah. Obviously, one of the big ones is Valerian as well. That's right. It's one of yours.
Yes, of course.
Yeah. Now, we just watched the film recently, didn't we?
Oh, yes, yeah.
Which was surprisingly good. And I say surprisingly because the reviews weren't amazing. But when we watched it, we really enjoyed the characters. And I can see how they pulled it out of the comic because we enjoyed the comic as well.
Yes.
Has it helped sales, do you think? Do movies help sales with comics? Or?
Massively. Absolutely massively. Yeah. I have a few issues with the movie, which is, okay. But no, the movie is not what I would consider a perfect adaptation of the comic series. Yeah. But just by existing, it boosted our sales like crazy. Having a movie adaptation or a TV adaptation is something that is, because we have no visibility right now, especially in America. The Americans don't know that there's such a thing as European comics. So suddenly this huge Hollywood blockbuster movie with hundreds of millions and I forgot the word for this. Budget. Here we go. Sorry. There's hundreds of millions of dollars in budget, and they have the visibility because of that. And suddenly they realize, oh, there's a comic. And they look at the comic, and even if 1 in 100 of the people who actually see the movie are interested in the comic, they're going to tell a few people that the comic is good, and boom, sales are instantly boosted. It's ridiculously effective.
It just costs $200 million.
Yeah, but it wasn't our money, so
no, that's very true. No, but it is good, and I suppose the same thing happened with Dread over here as well. When that sort of came out, the movie was awful, absolute rubbish, but it certainly brought new readers in. It's like that, so it's good.
Awful. Oh wait, the Stallone.
Oh, the Stallone one, yeah.
Yes.
Oh right, okay.
Yeah, not the other one.
No, the other one's amazing.
I was ready to hang up on you there.
What if you could choose one title to become a film? What would you choose out of the Cinebook range?
Ooh, that's interesting. Valerian's done, so I would love. Orbital, I think, would be a better.
I was about to say, if you hadn't said that, that's one I'd have chosen.
It would be a better fit because of the world is very well realized, and there's a lot of adventure and everything. I would be tossed between Orbital and everything by Leo, the Aldebaran series, because visually his creatures, his invention there would be fantastic.
Yeah.
But Orbital would probably be a better fit.
I think Orbital would be a good TV series almost. I
Yeah.
can see that with all those characters and all those aliens within the world on this one. It's almost like Babylon 5 on this one station, and yeah, that'd be amazing. But no, Orbital, I did like that when reading that, I must admit. So your role as a translator, how do you get involved in that?
I was looking for a company that would have translated a specific Lucky Luke title back then. I wanted to give a present to some friends from San Francisco, and there was a title inspired by a character from San Francisco history. And I was looking for that one, found the company, which was very new at the time. That was 10 years ago, and send them an email to ask whether they were going to translate that particular title at some point. And as a complete afterthought, just a fraction of a second before I clicked send, I said, why not actually offer my services? So I did a little something. This is what I can do. I'm a translator, and here's my CV or a few examples of things that I can write in English. And I sent it. And a month later, they came back to me and said, well, we are looking for a translator. So
just perfect timing.
Yeah.
Brilliant. So had you worked within the comic industry at all before then, or was this your first?
Not one bit. Nothing at all.
Okay. So what challenges did you come across in the early days then in working within the comics? Because obviously it's going to be a very different medium to just converting a book, translating a book or something.
I'd never translated a book before.
Oh, right, okay.
I'd done articles, medical articles. I'd done technical articles. I'd translated a couple of Irish movies. I was fairly inexperienced translator, even if I could call myself a translator. But I actually found it a lot easier to go into comics, to translate comic books, because I am a comic book fan, and many of the series that they asked me to translate at first were series that I'd been reading since I was a kid.
Yeah.
So I was familiar with the material. I was familiar with the voice of the characters, with the tone of the series, and that made it a lot easier to translate all of that stuff. It came naturally, basically.
So how did you find dealing with sort of space aspects like speech bubbles?
Well, that was the big problem. I tend to be extremely verbose, to make long running sentences, and you might have picked up on that already. I had to control myself and really translate things as shortly, as quickly as possible. And I discovered very quickly that there's no perfect correspondence, and that sometimes you just have to cheat. If you can't fit everything in one bubble, you just move it around to a different bubble and change slightly, and it's fun. It's a fun type of challenge, but sometimes it's just very, very difficult.
Did you find there's also, because of the different cultures and the languages, was that an issue as well, or?
It is. It is always an issue with translating anyway, unless you're translating a very dry technical manual, but it's always going to be a problem with the culture. You can't, to use a very basic example, you can't use a reference to a celebrity, a French celebrity, for a book destined to be read by English or American people. They will have absolutely no clue who you're talking about.
Yeah.
There are expressions, colloquial expressions in French that are simply no equivalent in English, that are steeped in the culture, in things that happened in France 300 or 400 years ago, and that would, have no meaning to Americans or even English people. So it's always a tricky part, and the hard part there is to know something more or less equivalent in English or American. If you don't know the name of a comedian, if you have to translate the name of a comedian, a French comedian that nobody would know, you have to know the name of a British or American comedian that would be roughly the equivalent.
Yeah.
this is where having lived in country helps a lot. Which I spent 2 years of my life in America. I spent 10 years in Ireland. I haven't actually lived in England, but I was close enough that I have familiarity with a lot of things English. Mm-hmm. That helps tremendously.
So, if somebody was going to be new to reading Cinebook, where do you think they should start? What series would be best?
Depends on what you like. Obviously, if you like science fiction or modern adventures or stuff like that. But on quality alone, I would say Valerian, Orbital, Lucky Luke, and Alone as it is would be my first the first titles that come to mind. 13 and Largo Winch are very good as well.
I want to try 13, actually. I've not read that yet.
No.
Purely based on the game. And seeing that, I just want to see more about that. So I think that might be next one to give a go.
Yeah, they're very nice, very classic spy or adventure stories, which is why I tend to prefer the others that are maybe a bit more original. But I suppose for a new reader, they would be. They look fantastic. For one thing,
the style it's gorgeous.
Yeah. They look absolutely gorgeous, and they're very accessible series. So,
in the UK, you've got is it Aldous that's still doing the promotion within the UK?
Yes.
Yeah, I must say he's a lovely chap.
He is lovely.
He's so friendly. Do you know what he's got planned this year as far as conventions, festivals, and so forth?
I think he's planning to go to Toronto, which obviously is not real interesting for English people, but but I know he's planning to go to Toronto. I don't know if he has managed to organize it completely. I think so. As far as I know, he always plans to go to the lakes, obviously, and to where's the other one? Leeds. Thought Bubble. I don't know if he has anything else planned.
What I would say is, if you see him around, go and have a chat with him, because he's so passionate about the books, and he sells them so well, and he's very clear about what fits somebody's personality almost. He finds out about them. So
he's very good at that.
Yeah, he's well worth going to have a chat with, and just have a look at the books as well, because they're gorgeous.
Yes.
So if you're not going to see Aldous at a festival, where can they find these books online?
Online, well, I would encourage everyone, please, to go first to your local bookstore.
You know what? It's really sad.
If you have one.
We have so little around Kendal. That's why that never comes to my head.
Yeah. It's awful, isn't it?
It is sad.
But, yeah, I mean, if you have a local bookstore available, then go ahead and favor them first. But if you don't, or if they won't, order the books or whatever, you can find us on Book Depository, on Amazon. Most places, most of the big names will have us. And if you're really stuck, then you can order directly from our website.
Yeah, the website.
There won't be any special deals or any special prices, and you pay the shipping, obviously, but at least they're available from there.
Not if you buy 4 books, it's free shipping if you buy 4 books.
Is it? Oh. Didn't know that, sorry.
Good job, I'm checking these things.
Well, I get that for free, so,
Well, yeah, fair play. I really like the website. There's so much information on there. I mean, there's so many books. Do you know how big your catalogue is?
500 and something, I think, last count.
Huge. So there's so much on there, but it's all so detailed, and it's a really interesting website in its own right. So it's well worth going and having a look over there. Brilliant. Thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
As I say, we're going to read more of these
Yes.
over this year because we've really enjoyed what we've read so far.
Yes.
And as I say, we'll be seeing Aldous at the festival this year, that's for sure.
We will.
Go and say hello again.
Him.
Thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
Room for one lawgiver, please.
Ah, Judge Dredd. Or is it just Dredd? Fancy seeing you here.
Catwoman, you also here for the Comic Art Festival or a stint in the ISO cubes?
Of course. I love to see my makers in action. Ah! Watch it, Greenie!
Careful, Hulk. In this town we have a saying. Once is a coincidence, twice is a booking offence.
I think he booked the events on the website.
Huh?
comicartfestival.com. It's got all the perfect information about the event.
Yeah, so's my fist. Druck, I'm out of here. Not standing around with those 4 tortoises that have just entered the building.
Cowabunga, dude!
Find out all about the Lakes International Comic Art Festival and booking information at www.comicartfestival.com.
So we've got with us Joel Meadows from Portsmouth Comic Con. How are you today?
I'm very well, thanks.
Excellent. So you've come on a show to talk about, as we said, Portsmouth Comic Con. So what's it all about?
Well, basically, it's a show. We were approached by the venue, the Portsmouth Guildhall, just over a year ago now, because they're a venue that are very experienced, and they run things like they run gigs, they do comedy festivals, they do events, they even do a cheese festival, have a classic car festival.
I love cheese festivals.
Well, I know. So they were looking for something a bit different, and they knew with our experience, running Tripwire for 25 years, they knew that we knew about the industry. So they contacted us, and we started to put it together. And so we wanted to make a proper comic show down on the south coast.
So is this the first one, or has it been going for a few years?
No, this is the first one, actually.
First one? Oh, excellent. So give us some of the big comic guests on there, because you've got quite a few big names there, haven't you?
Well, yeah, I mean, there is a good list. We've got Walt Simonson, Louise Simonson, Gene Ha, we've got Sean Martinborough, we've got Dave Dorman, we've got Star Wars artist Russell Walks, we've got Cully Hamner, and from the British side, we've got Frank Quitely from Scotland, we've got Sean Phillips, we've got Aram Guerra from Barcelona, we've got Claire Wendling from France for one day. We've got a good lineup of people.
Yeah, no, definitely, and certainly a lot of the Marvel and the DC creators over there. I mean, that's good to see, because you don't generally get over here a bunch like that together, so it's nice to see all of them together there.
Yes.
What else is going on then? Because there's quite a lot, other than just the comic side, there's a lot more going on, isn't there?
Oh yeah, there's a lot. We wanted to make sure that there wasn't just comics. People, they go to the panels or they wander around the floor. We wanted people to have other things to look at, so we've got the Gosport Society, the Steampunk Society from Gosport, have taken over the whole of the basement for the Guildhall. They're building like a huge sort of submarine replica, which sounds very impressive. Yeah. So that they'll have that basement for the whole weekend. There's also a Superman 80th anniversary exhibition that's going to have reproductions of lots of great classic Superman covers going back to Action Comics 1 and even more modern stuff like Man of Steel 1 and Superman 75 at really high reproduction, and they'll be framed to sort of commemorate obviously the huge milestone of Superman's 80th. So we've got that. We've got classic 1980s vintage video games as well. We have a floor of Daleks. We've got a lot of different things. We wanted to give people a good cross section of material. So it wasn't obviously comics is important. But we also want to have some other stuff in there as well.
So what sort of panels have you got going on as well? Anything that stands out?
We've got a good mix. We're obviously shining a light on a lot of the spotlight guests. Mm-hmm. We've got obviously a chat with Walt Simonson, a chat with Louise Simonson. We got Dave Dorman there as well, and Ben Temple-Smith. So we're looking at their work. We're also looking. A lot of these artists have done things. They've done extensive stints on things like Batman. So we're talking to them about sort of Batman. We've also got tying in with the Superman 80th anniversary. We've also got a panel hosted by University of Hertfordshire's Danny Graydon talking about Superman's anniversary with Louise Simonson, Frank Quitely, and also Chris Weston. So we've got a good range. We tried to give it a good mix. We tried to make sure that there's sort of something for everyone. Hopefully,
there really is, and it's all day. Is it 2 days as well?
Yes, it's Saturday and Sunday. It's the 5th and the 6th of May.
The one that stands out for me is the Drawing as Force, the Star Wars one. That looks quite interesting, actually.
Well, we've got a lot of Star Wars artists. We've got Malcolm Tween, who did these Star Wars stamps. We've got Dave Dorman, who obviously worked on Dark Empire, and we've got a number of other artists who have worked on Star Wars over the years. So we just thought it was interesting to get a sort of compare and contrast about how you draw these very iconic figures.
It's amazing how the Star Wars comics have really come out the past couple of years as well. They've just brought such a world within the comic series.
Oh, no, definitely.
I mean, I know they used to do it in the past, but it's just expanded so much these past few years.
Oh, yeah, Marvel have been very ambitious with their Star Wars
books. It's been absolutely brilliant.
They've had some impressive people on it.
So where can you find more information out about the convention?
Well, if people want to go to the website, which is www.portsmouthcomiccon.com, they'll find information about the guests. They can also check out www.tripwiremagazine.co.uk, because we're obviously, since one of the main partners on the show, we're also running content about the show on our website. So people can feel free. Tickets are still available, but they are selling quite briskly. So
which is good.
If people want to grab a ticket, then they're welcome to check out both of those places.
Brilliant. That's superb. It's a bit too far for me, I'll be honest.
Sadly.
Very sadly. I mean, Sean, he's making a trip, so we can't really say anything if he's getting all the way from up here down there, you know. Fair play to him. But best of luck. I imagine with that lineup, I can't see anything but it going exceptionally well. So,
yeah, thank you very much.
Let us know how it goes.
Oh, we will.
Brilliant. Thank you very much.
All right, cheers. Thanks very much.
Welcome to Breakdowns, the comic art section of the podcast. I'm Pete Taylor. I'm a small press comics creator and illustrator. Online I trade as This Man, This Pete. And the favourite thing I've drawn since last episode is Mickey Mouse as Jake LaMotta, sort of raging mouse. On to the Kirby profile. After Fantastic Four #1 was released, Lee and Kirby moved to expand their new superhero line. Interestingly, the first Marvel Universe character to appear after that game-changing release was Hank Pym, but he was not yet Ant-Man. The Man in the Anthill features in Tales to Astonish #27 and goes on sale in September of 1961. 1962 sees Stan and Jack returning the Submariner in Fantastic Four #4, not a reboot, but the same Golden Age character that Timely had published in the 40s. This instantly extended the scope of future adventures by including past comics as history for their new universe. The Incredible Hulk followed in March, only lasting 6 issues. Kirby draws 5 of them. June sees Amazing Fantasy #15 and Spider-Man swing into action. Although not drawn by Kirby, it does sport a cover by him after Ditko's version is rejected. Jack would maintain in later years that he brought the idea of Spider-Man to Stan Lee, and that the notion had evolved from the Silver Spider and Fly characters that he and Joe Simon had developed for Archie comics in the 50s. Also released the same month was Journey into Mystery #83, the first appearance of Thor. Kirby had produced at least 2 stories previously using this mythological hero. It's not inconceivable to consider that he came up with this idea for a title either. Although he didn't draw many issues at the start, Jack would go on to have a long tenure on this title. Kirby helps Hank Pym become Ant-Man in Tales to Astonish #27. Strange Tales becomes a Fantastic Four spin-off title starring the Human Torch and later the Thing. Jack pencils 7 of these first few issues. Tales of Suspense #39 went on sale in December 1962, featuring Iron Man. Kirby designed the character and did breakdowns for the issue, which was drawn by Don Heck. Breakdowns are rough layouts which dictate the storytelling of the page. Character placement is shown, style of shot, i.e. close-up or long shot, sometimes some indication of balloon placement, but with little or no detail of costumes or backgrounds. Finally, Amazing Spider-Man #1 comes out, sporting a Kirby cover and a Ditko-drawn crossover with the Fantastic Four. 1963 sees Nick Fury and his Howling Commandos arrive on the scene, mixing some of the Lee Kirby style into a war book. Artist John Severin remembers Jack telling him about a similar idea in the late 50s, so again it's possible Jack brought this title to the table. It's interesting that the superhero titles are the most remembered or discussed from this period, but Lee and Marvel continued to publish titles in varied genres such as Western, romance, monster, and humour. With the exception of the romance or teenage genres, Kirby would draw most of the covers across the line, and his style became the house style, and young artists were encouraged to emulate him. July 63, and Lee and Kirby produced 2 more super teams, X-Men #1 and Avengers #1. Kirby draws the first issue of both and most of the covers. The last of the founding Marvel heroes, Captain America, seems to return in Strange Tales number 114, but instead is revealed to be a villain in disguise. The Golden Age shield slinger would re-enter the Marvel Universe properly in just 4 months when Avengers number 4 is published in January 1964. Many think that this Strange Tales story shows a cautious Stan Lee testing the water to see if the vintage character would work in the swinging 60s. 3 years in, and pretty much all the major Marvel characters are in place. And, excepting Doctor Strange and maybe Spider-Man, all are co-created by Jack or have some form of creative input from him. Marvel saw a huge increase in sales from over 18 million in 1961 to over 27 million in 1964. Martin Goodman was obviously pleased with this increase in sales, but he was also worried by his company's reliance on Lee and the control that his nephew had over the line of books he and Kirby had created. Sales were predicted to rise to 32 million in 1965, so Goodman forced Lee to bring in other writers to handle some of the stories. Stan Lee created a bold personality for all of the Marvel books that had him firmly at its centre. Every comic opened with Stan Lee Presents. In the early days, pretty much all of the stories were written by him, and when later writers started to contribute, he would be credited in each issue as editor. His humorous captions and hyped-up announcements on the letters page gave all the books a common voice. Unfortunately, it also gave the impression to many that all of the magic at Marvel came from Lee himself. Stan gave lectures at colleges, enjoyed visits and offers of collaboration from cultural leaders such as Fellini, and was the subject of interviews and magazine profiles. Inside the company, his relationship with some of his artists was beginning to strain. Lee's method of developing stories from a plot and relying on the artists to embellish and craft a long-form comic adventure did speed up production, but also built up resentment about story credits and exactly how much input Stan had in the creation of such characters and tales. Things came to a head in January 1966 when an article in New York Times Tribune was written by a reporter who visited the Marvel offices and interviewed Lee. There was lots in this profile for Kirby and Steve Ditko to get upset about. The reporter builds up Lee as the true instigator of the stories, writing, Lee arrives at his plots in sort of ESP sessions with the artists, before going on to belittle Kirby in this harsh description. The king is a middle-aged man with baggy eyes and a baggy Robert Hallish suit. He is sucking a huge green cigar, and if you stood next to him on the subway, you would peg him for the assistant foreman in a girdle factory. Jack was incensed by the obvious bias in the article and would seethe and complain at lunches with fellow artists, but he wouldn't bring it up with Lee himself. For Steve Ditko, Lee's comments about their partnership on Amazing Spider-Man were the last straw. He handed in issue 38 and resigned. He asked Jack to join him. If they both left, it would pressure the company into giving them better contracts, but Kirby refused, worried about the impact this would have on his family. But let's not forget that in this period, even with all this going on, Jack drew issues 48, 49 and 50 of the Fantastic Four, the Galactus saga featuring the first appearance of Galactus and the Silver Surfer. Stan's plot for these issues was, interestingly enough, FF meets God. Meanwhile, his old partner, Joe Simon, sued Marvel Comics in court, claiming Captain America was his creation, and as such, he was entitled to renew the copyright registration on the character rather than Marvel. It's all about to kick off for Kirby again, isn't it? Thanks for listening. You can find me at thismanthispete on Instagram and Twitter. Email me at thismanthispete@gmail.com. My comics are available at thispete.bigcartel.com, and my website is thismanthispete.com.
So, the Lakes International Comic Art Festival 2018.
Yes. Hit me with it.
Hit you with it. They've announced a new big name that's coming to the festival this year. David Silverman, who is one of the co-creators of The Simpsons.
I know.
Which
it's
is
be amazing.
Pretty amazing, unexpected. So he's co-created The Simpsons, but he's also done comics as well on top of that. And can you imagine that with him and Matt Groening, just that whole... Because you don't hear of him as much as Matt Groening is the lead name for The Simpsons. But can you imagine that, having created the biggest cartoon in the world, essentially, let's be honest?
Yes. Well, it was, wasn't it? It was groundbreaking for its time.
Yeah. It allowed families to sit and watch cartoons together, which never really happened.
Because it appealed to all ages, didn't it?
You could get your dads who might watch with the kids occasionally and stuff, but you never got a family viewing. And it's done so much for entertainment, and it's
left it open for things like Family Guy, other cartoons to come in.
And for creators to be allowed to create, for TV networks to give them money
and it's still going.
Yeah. Well, it is the longest running animated show in the world.
Yeah.
So David, he'll be on the stage during the festival weekend chatting to Steve McGarry about his career, with some special events also planned around that as well.
Yes.
And he'll be playing his tuba.
I can't wait. We've heard things. Don't say anything.
Yeah.
Don't say anything. I think it'll be a spectacle.
So he's bringing his tuba over from the America. So, yeah, I don't know what more to say on that. That sort of says it all, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I'd love to get to chat with him. We'll see. Who knows? Depends what time how free he is up. But yeah, I'd love to get a 10-minute chat about his work.
If not, we'll try and definitely record that one.
Yeah, definitely. Also, the Spirit comic from last year has been nominated for an Eisner Award. Best
Does that mean it goes up in price? If it,
no. Well, unless we get a signed one and they sell out.
Okay, that could happen.
So Sean Phillips obviously put this together for the festival, but it was published by the festival. So between the festival and Sean and all the other artists and writers in there, it's amazing.
Yes, brilliant.
So if this has been put forward, absolutely brilliant. So well done to everybody involved. The annual auction is coming up on the 1st of May.
You still can't have anything from it.
Well, we don't know that yet.
You can't afford anything.
If we don't tell anyone about it, maybe no one will bid.
Oh, quick. Don't tell them.
Yes, it's actually next year. No. So it's there to raise funds for the next, Lakes International Comic Art Festival and the OCD Action Charity as well. So the auction off original art from Charlie Adlard, Dave McKean, Brian Talbot, Glyn Dillon, Sean Phillips, John Higgins, Michael Chow, and Duncan Ferrego as well, who's not on the list.
That's probably going to come across as I'm mouthing names
he
at you.
He added it afterwards, didn't he?
Yes, but they're lovely, they are.
Not just published artwork, also pages.
Yes.
From comics, actual drawn pages. That's the thing that's really interesting.
You're not allowed them.
I think, if I'm right in thinking, Sean Phillips' front pages from Killer Big Hills.
Yeah.
That'd be amazing.
I
will be checking it.
Do we need to mug him?
I will be checking it. So if it'll be on the website, but also I'm just bringing up the web address now. Just have a look on the website.
It's going well then.
Or Twitter, and we'll have links on the
on
the show notes as well.
Yep.
1st of May. Go and check it out.
See if you can get yourself a piece of history.
You need a couple $100 at least.
Yeah, I know. We haven't.
If you're thinking £5, ain't gonna happen.
Yeah.
But
I was thinking £5 there. Yeah. Am I not getting anything?
You can bid.
I could bid.
Yeah.
Briefly.
But no, it's well worth. If you've got some spare cash and you want something that is probably going to blow up in value over the years anyway.
Yeah, it's totally unique.
Totally unique, yeah. And it's especially the pages. It's not something they're going to do again.
No.
It's well worth going and checking out. And it's all for good causes.
Yep.
The charity and the festival.
Yeah.
Okay, so final thing. We've got a guaranteed guest coming on June, July.
Ooh.
Which I'm really excited about, and you are as well. Ian Rankin will be on the show.
I'm very excited. I'll just sit there and go, that'd be me.
We've got some other big names, comic names that we're planning, but obviously Ian Rankin is more known for his novels as opposed to comics, but he has done comics in the past. Yeah. So any questions, start getting them in now.
Oh, yes, please.
It's really exciting. And, we've had some really big names in the comic world and nerd world, but this is a different world. I think this is a good crossover. Oh, yeah, definitely. Yeah. So I'm really looking forward to it. And I'm going to fangirl. So send your questions in. Find us on Twitter or Facebook. Yep. Not really use Facebook very much. Twitter's amazing. Twitter. Or individual accounts. It's all on the website.
We're all around.
I'm not going to read them off.
No.
Briefly.
Don't point at me like that.
Congratulations to the Awesome Comic Podcast for receiving the award for Best Podcast up at Glasgow Comic Con.
Yeah.
I can't remember what the awards are called, but well done.
Well done. Remember us when you're so rich and famous.
They are the second best comic podcast.
Yes. Definitely the second
the
best.
Second best.
Yes.
They just didn't recognise us at this particular time. No.
We're biting at their heels.
No, well done, guys. Absolutely brilliant work and well deserved.
Mm-hmm.
So we're back next episode. We're going off to Oldham Comic Con.
We are.
On the 12th.
Is Peter Davison going to be there?
No.
He's not being this one.
No, this is only for comics.
Yay!
So we're off to
Oldham.
Orbital Comic Con, no. Oldham Comic Con. Come and say hello if you see us. We'll get some interviews while we're there.
Mm-hmm.
John Wagner and Carlos will be there.
Yes.
So I'm hoping we can spend 10 minutes with them.
You can hope. You never know.
Hoping we can spend 10 minutes with them. A brief chat. Because we got Wagner's up at the festival, but Carlos isn't this year. So
yeah.
To be able to get those two together would be brilliant. But we'll see.
See how we do.
But yeah, if you're over there creating comics or just
there.
Just mulling around.
Yeah, like
come and
us.
say hello.
Yep.
We'll happily have a chat. Or we'll happily give you an interview if you've got something interesting, exciting to say.
Yeah, if you haven't, no, we're not talking to you.
Well, if you're not selling comics. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We will be back, as I say, with that on the 15th of May.
The year's going so fast.
And on the 20th will be the next episode of My Neighbour with
Oh no.
Grave of Fireflies.
Oh no.
Yes.
Oh. Oh no. I need a lot of chocolate after that to bring up my mood.
Thank you for listening. Bye.
Bye. Thank you for listening. Find out more about the festival at comicartfestival.com. Find out more about the show and how to contact us at comicartpodcast.uk. Find us on Twitter, Facebook and Instagram. Music composed by Pop Noir.
This podcast is part of Britpod Scene, an independent network of uniquely British podcasts that's always growing. Check out BritpodScene.com or Britpod Scene on Twitter to find out more.